Wenner of Boston. He says the opioid epidemic is killing, and this is a factoid for you, 175 people a day and costing the U.S. economy billions of dollars annually, according to the government. And as many of you know, our president has declared the opioid crisis a public health emergency yesterday, and rightly so. Trump doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink, and there was a big reason for it. He actually tells us why that might be.
Brother Fred, great guy. He was substantially older, and I listened to him, and I respected, but he would constantly tell me, don't drink. He'd also add, don't smoke. But he would say it over and over and over again. And to this day, I've never had a drink.
Well, that's pretty powerful and great advice for anybody. You know, stay a little bit healthy. I don't know about never having a drink, but, you know, if it runs in your family where you just can't control yourself and you have an addictive personality, it's better probably just not to ever pick it up. And that's why he didn't, because he saw that his brother, it affected him in a big way. And unfortunately, it kills a lot of folks in our country, and opioid addiction is killing our people here, ladies and gentlemen. And these pharmaceuticals, they know how addictive this is. And I'm glad that our president was brave enough to do this. I'm glad that he has passion for the right thing. Stand up against Big Pharma. And we got the U.S. Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut as well, conducting a criminal probe. He's right now has a criminal probe going on for Purdue Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. Basically, they market oxycodone, and scores of cities and counties as well as states have sued companies, including Purdue, Endo International, Johnson & Johnson, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, alleging that they triggered the epidemic by minimizing the addiction and overdose risks of painkillers, such as oxycodone and another one called Percocet. Have you heard of that one? Oh, yeah, you might be on it. Like I say, there's some folks, they call it their M&Ms. Pop 2, 3, 4 of them, and there you go. It's not good. Not good. And I understand that people are in pain, so I get it. I understand it, but addiction is it's not a good thing. We're not talking about marijuana here. We're talking about stuff that's as addictive as heroin, if not right there on the same level of opioid, which is, i.e., heroin. Synthetic version of it. And it is lethal. Princess believed to have OD'd from opioid addiction. It started out was 1, and then became 2, and then became 3, and then before you, a whole handful. And then it just kills you. Pickles your liver, but shuts your system down. I mean, there's just only so much a human body can take by assaulting it with chemicals, because that's exactly what you're putting in your body every single time. So I hope that this war against the big pharmas and, again, the war on opioid addiction, I pray that stations run PSAs and TV station, radio stations, and you speak to your loved one that's on these things, and if you're the loved one that's actually taking these things, the only way that you're going to actually get off it is to check yourself in. That's it. You got to check yourself in. It's scary, but they know what they're doing. They're professionals that can treat you or your loved one to get them off there. And if you want to see what the effects are of getting off it and DTing and the detox process, it doesn't look so pretty. But your life can be so much more without those. There's other means, there's other ways to treat. And yeah, people are furious at the pharmaceuticals. And a lot of the doctors knew that these things would be, that's what they, well, they will say, take as prescribed. But the pharmaceuticals and also the doctors know that people go, and they tell you to do that, but what do people do? They take a little bit more, and they justify it. It's okay. Because I had a doctor that said, well, if you cut it in half, just 1.5, then it's okay. I'm a big guy, so I could take a little bit more. Or how about this one? My threshold of pain is different from most people. I've heard people say that. Well, some people have higher tolerances to pain, which they can just deal with for whatever reason. They're just wired a little bit different. They can just deal with it a little bit more. Some people are the opposite. They get a little pain, man, they're out of commission. They can't survive. So that's an issue where you're taking so much more and much more than you really need. But man, it's dangerous. It really is. And I'm so, again, glad. Again, you don't hear the mainstream media talking about this. You don't hear the celebrities talking about opioid addiction. You don't hear about them talking about the drug addiction. You don't hear about them talking about these things. It's got to be politically correct to the left narrative for them to be able to cash in on it. But there's millions of people that are taking these things. And pharmaceuticals, they're going to be paying a lot of money. But there's going to be a lot of education. You're going to be seeing a lot of things like they made Philip Morris and the cigarette companies do, run commercials, put advertising in newspapers and things like that to educate people. But it will be good business for the rehab business to get off this. But I am betting you anything that you're going to see more of the lawyer groups saying that if your doctor prescribed this and you became addicted to it or somebody died from it or committed suicide, there's going to be all kinds because in the wake of this because of the lawsuits. You better believe it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen, but just heads up on that. But it'll be good for the lawyers. It'll be good for advertisers. But I hope to God that people take this real serious because this is dangerous and it's killing way too many people and it's just a shame. Talking about a shame, there's always people, and I'm not talking about JFK looking into conspiracy theories here. I'm talking about the conspiracy theorists who are charging the Las Vegas shooting victims are government actors. This is what they're saying. Conspiracy theorists charging that the Las Vegas shooting that killed 58 people, that was just unbelievable. I get a little emotional about it because of just the sickness of these sick freaks. More than 500 injured. And as you know, it's gone down and is called the worst mass shooting in modern U.S. history. But this group, according to The Guardian, are targeting victims and family members on social media, trolling their accounts, and even threatening them. Threatening them. Basically saying they were government actors. It's just like the same garbage that they were propagating at Sandy Hook. You know, there's these nut jobs on radio. You know who they are. Some of the stations carry them that I'm on. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's made a hell of a living with these conspiracy theories. And these same nut jobs are attacking the families, accusing them of their loved ones really being alive and that they're hiding them. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they vacationing? Where are you keeping them? And assaulting them, through verbal assaults. Some have knocked on doors yelling and screaming. And many, because they were on Facebook, because of those that are trolling them, have erased their Facebook pages entirely. It's just this is outrage. Just when you think you've heard it all, no. There are all these people, and The Guardian reported pretty nice on here. It says these are all these families dealing with likely the most horrific thing they'll ever experience, and they also met with hate and anger and are being attacked online about being a part of some conspiracy, said Taylor Bukaki, Brandon's brother. They say it's madness. I can't imagine the thought process of these people. Do they know that we are actual people? All right. Well, they're bringing it up here, and the New York Times reported this. Alex Jones, that's the guy. All right. Of the website of the internet show InfoWars, has painted Paddock as an agent of the Islamic State, a leftist activist, an anti-Trump radical, and a possible stooge for a broader conspiracy intent on disturbing democracy, according to the New York Times reported early this month. See, this is the stuff that is propagated over the airwaves that hurts immensely the families. Just like the 9/11 conspiracy, Sandy Hook. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. This is the only way they can create a climate to bring the nut jobs out, and it hurts. It hurts so much, the families that are reeling with the death of their loved ones, still trying to digest exactly what happened. All these folks just about have PTSD. One form or another will have to live with this. I don't understand how these people live with what they're doing here. Oh, yeah, he's painted this picture that Paddock was an agent of the Islamic State, even though there's no evidence that foreign intelligence, our intelligence, has linked anything with ISIS. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. Not a trace. Nothing. This is not a JFK deal, and there's some new activity with that, and that's very interesting. Some 50+ years later, but I feel sorry for folks that have nothing better to do with their time than demonize some poor people. I mean, that was enough right there. Now you're just doing the nail in the coffin for these people's souls, and not allowing these people to grieve, saying they all made this thing up. I don't wish any harm on anybody, but geez, how would you feel if your loved one ended up dead and somebody said, "Hey, didn't die. You're making it all up. You're lying." You'd be pretty peeved. You wouldn't be too happy about this. Moving on, a 10-year-old has been stealing his mother's car, stealing other family cars, second time in, 2 weeks now. A Cleveland, Ohio boy stole his mother's car now. It's definitely a miracle that he wasn't killed, but here is a story on this whole ordeal. You're not going to believe it.
I need the police. My 10-year-old stole his dad's car this morning, and he's running from me right now. I finally got him. And I'm right behind him. He's already crashed. He's going towards the friggin' highway.
This is a frantic mother calling 911 Thursday morning after her 10-year-old son stole his father's car and took off.
There seems to be what looks to be a child driving a silver Infiniti with, I don't know if it's like their mother or somebody almost chasing them down in a red SUV.
It's just not something you see every day.
Zach Gress says he was stunned when he saw the young child behind the wheel of a car.
Is this real life? That's kind of what it was. And I was in shock. I didn't know what to do or really. So, my first thing I did was I called the Westlake police and had them jump on it, and they took care of the rest.
Gress was able to catch this part of the chase on his cell phone. It shows the young boy